And in business, nobody believes you until it's done.
Right.
Like you said, I spit my plan hundreds of times, different people, and they're like, "That's awesome, man. Good luck."
Yeah.
And after you get it done, and they see the success of it, they're like, "Oh man, I'd love to get in on it now." Like, and you're like, "Sorry, man, you didn't see it to begin with. You're not going to see my next future as well." So.
The Doing the Work podcast is brought to you by some amazing sponsors who we're very grateful for that allow us to do this amazing podcast that brings you information that helps you to be more connected and be more healthy and helps you grow in your life. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about fitness and strength and conditioning. They think that the harder you work in the gym, the more you crush yourself, the more weight you're lifting, the faster you go, the better you're going to get. And actually, that doesn't follow science. What follows science is that when you are in the gym or you're doing your training, you're actually breaking down, which means that you're dipping below where you were before. You're essentially causing trauma to your body. And the only way that we actually get better is to compensate for that breakdown and to recover better. So that's what Strive Human Optimization is all about. It's about helping you to recover better and more effectively so that you can continue to train hard and you can continue to get better, in whether that be in your strength training or your endurance training or just your general wellness. They've got things like cold plunges, infrared saunas, compression therapy, and a lot more that's going to help you to continue to make progress in and outside of the gym. So if you're interested in that, check them out at www.shobashdrop.com. That's www.shobashdrop.com.
So I'm here. I'm super excited to be here with you, Joshua. We were just chatting before we started recording that we haven't actually talked in over 20 years, probably. Yeah. For everyone listening, Joshua and I served together in the Army. We were I think I was like a PFC and you were like a specialist or something like that.
Pretty close in rank.
Yeah, pretty close. And you were really one of those people who were just like one step ahead of me in like you went to Ranger school right before I did. So I like really looked up to you. You were kind of like one of the models of what I was trying to aspire to be. And of course, you went on to bigger and better things. And I ended up getting out to not too long after that. But since then, we've stayed in touch. I've seen that you're doing big things, professionally in your personal life. And I'm really excited to kind of just highlight you for the audience. So thanks for being on the show, man.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, just kind of give everybody just kind of like the quick rundown of like who you are, what you've been up to. Yeah.
So I just retired in 2018 from 22 years in the military. Last 15 was all in the 5th Special Forces group, did all the deployments, all the combat tours, all that good stuff. So when it came time to transition out of the military, you kind of, in the military when it's kind of your time to go. When it was a time when growing up, I think with you and I, promotions were based on combat experience, right? So when we were coming up, all you were doing was rotations over to Iraq, Afghanistan, trying to get as much combat time because that's how you got your leadership roles and got promoted. Soon after, when the war started dying down, something switched, and now they wanted academics. So now all the guys that have been constant war, knew the job in and out, were passed over for guys that had been academically trained, which, it's a corporation, right? The big Army's a corporation. So they knew what they wanted. And then at the Sergeant Major role, I wasn't what they wanted. I knew that. So I decided to retire out of the Army. And I knew that I'd been home brewing for a while and actually started distilling and then went into home brewing, got pretty good at that. And kind of made a name for myself locally with our beer is called the Winchester. It's a bourbon ale that we age in high-end Buffalo Trace barrels, actually. And I made my name home brewing doing that, and to the point where I would brew it in my garage. I had a huge homebrew brewery in my garage, and I would sell it out of the back of my truck at the local grocery store on the weekends for a $20 donation. And through that, me doing that for several months, I made enough money to put a down payment on my very first brewery. And then I did a Kickstarter campaign. And it's just, I think with anything, if you want it bad enough, you're going to find ways to overcome, and you're going to find ways to get money. If it's a good idea, the money's there.
Absolutely.
You're going to find it, right? So,
yep.
Yeah. And then I went from that, it was a 3-barrel system. I was doing 93 gallons at a time, to 4 years later purchasing 8,000 square foot facility here that we're in today. And we have a 10-barrel brew system and 20-barrel fermenters, so we can do up to 700 gallons of beer at a time. So in 4 years, we went from the smallest to the largest brewery in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Wow.
Which is has a lot to say with, I think, not only the purpose driven, but the people that I work with every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just from the outsider's perspective and like watching how you all did it, I mean, what I loved about your model and your message is like, you knew what you wanted to represent. You knew your message. And you just knew your brand so well, and it's so strong that it's like you said, it's clear. It was kind of like part of your purpose and who you are, and that's easy to sell. That's easy to grow when you believe in something like that.
Yeah, and when you're coming up with a business plan, something so leaving the military, everybody's like, hey man, I'm gonna go contract. I'm gonna go do this. I'm gonna go do that. And in my mind, I'm thinking long term goals. And just from being in combat for so long, so often, every time you rotate over there, the enemy's TTPs are changing. Yeah. That makes total sense. When you go to contract, your lifespan as a contractor, or teaching shooting, teaching sniping, teaching whatever, CQB, that's a short lifespan. You probably have about 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, because the tactics have already changed overseas. Now you're antiquated, and you spend so much time and effort contracting. So I wanted to step outside. I knew that we had, as Special Forces soldiers, drive, determination, planning, and I wanted to learn something new. So the whole business aspect of starting a brewery was obviously very new to me, but the process of learning it and stepping out of my comfort zone, I think, is what we're really good at, just being completely uncomfortable. But we're good at it, right? So super uncomfortable learning the process of it, but it's paid off.
Yeah, I think that just that's kind of how I looked at it too. And in the long run, when I transitioned from my military career and really started hammering down on my civilian career, I was looking for the things that were similar from what I was good at on the military side, and how I could continue to apply those regularly, but just kind of with a new mission, with a new purpose.
Right, because you're in a different arena. You go to a different arena with the same tactics and discipline. You're good.
Yeah, and exactly, and it really has paid off. I do a lot of thinking. In fact, I even, to the extent, even however cheesy this is, to the extent that I took. Basically, I took the Ranger Creed, which I had memorized, which I was kind of forced to memorize, and I really tried to live my life by, and I kind of wrote my own civilian version of it. And I'll read that from almost on a daily basis. I've even recorded myself saying it, so that I have now took on a kind of like, I've just leveraged the same ideas and put them into civilian speak, so that I can continue to drive on.
Yeah, that's self-affirmation, and tons of successful people do that every day. You need to do that, I think, to counteract all the negative influences that come in every day, especially these times when everything's trying to be run off of fear. Come up with a good self-affirmation, see yourself doing it, visualize yourself doing it, see the end result, so that when everything starts getting hard, the road starts getting bumpy, you see the end of the tunnel. You're like, this is just a bump on the road, man.
Right.
I see the finished product. That's where I'm going.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think what you said earlier is so important. When you are, when you really believe in what you're doing, you're passionate about it and you love it, you're going to find a way every single time. I was very similar to you. My very first, like real shot at business, I just started this like outdoor boot camp. Fitness outdoors in a park. And I just had I actually had an old army jump boot sitting out there. And if you had a couple bucks in your pocket to drop in there, great. If not,
Awesome.
I'd train you for free. And just because I loved what I was doing, I wasn't trying to get rich doing it. And then I figured out a way to make a living, over time. I just kept hitting, adapting until I got to a place that was comfortable.
Yeah. And I think that also on top of that is, in this situation here in this brewery, when I started Star Spangled Brewing Company, it's, I guess even now, it wasn't very popular to be patriotic. Okay, it wasn't very, it was portrayed as not being patriotic. But when you start something that mirrors and mimics your beliefs as a person, now you become a unique business. So when I started Star Spangled, under my beliefs and being unapologetically patriotic, giving back to the community, first responders and military, you see everybody that is so driven like you come out and they support big time.
Yes. Yeah. When you stand for something. Business. Yeah. There's so many, it's just good business. Like you said, when you've differentiated yourself from the crowd, that's important. But also when you've let, not only you use the part of yourself to differentiate yourself, kind of like what you believe in, you're going to find your people. There's nothing worse than kind of building, which I've done this. I tried to be everything to everybody. I tried to create this kind of like people pleasing business model. And then when I got there and I was like, quote unquote, successful doing it, I realized this fucking sucks. Like, this isn't even like who I want, this isn't what I want to be doing.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of breweries in my arena. They are trying to be everything to everybody, brewing beers for all these different people, causes, all this other stuff like that. And we're just like, hey, if you're patriotic, come on in.
Yeah,
we're not going to do anything special for anybody, but if you're patriotic, love America, and want to support the cause because we give back, come on, you're our people. Yeah, and it's all encompassing, and we really stand out in that aspect.
Yeah. Well, talk to me a little bit about how, so again, I've watched your just kind of even just the business piece of it from an outsider's perspective. And I feel like you're doing just a really good job, or seemingly, when you're on the inside, it sometimes feels different, but on the outside, it looks like you're just doing a really good job running your business. And you obviously didn't have you don't have an MBA. You grew up in the special forces. So how did you learn your business acumen? Like, what did it take to kind of figure all that out?
Well, I think in the business aspect of it, you just got to buckle down and learn it. Got to read books. But anybody can learn it. Anybody can learn it. Everybody's like, hey, Green Beret, Special Forces, all this stuff. Well, anybody can do that. It's just finding the drive, the purpose to do it. Yeah. But I think what really you learn in Special Forces is nobody's going to do it for you. You're really not special. Because you go through it, you go through the selections, you go through the hard work and stuff like that. You just had the mindset that you weren't going to quit.
Right.
Okay. And you're not looking for affirmation in other people. You have it in your head that you want to do it. You're going to do it. You know how to visualize it, do self-affirmations. You're going to get there. And that's all stuff that you learn, I think, as you climb the ladder in the military, in the different tiers of special operations. It's all the mindset to get it done. And that, you're not looking for outside influence to impact your decision-making process. You are very confident in your abilities. And if you don't know something, you aren't modest, or your ego doesn't stop you from reaching out and saying, hey, brother, I don't know how to set up a corporation. Can we sit down on a Saturday, get some pizza and go over it, and then, totally. You don't need to pay a lawyer to set up a corporation. You don't need a lawyer to do a business plan, LLC. You can do all that stuff yourself in an afternoon for probably $200.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that is the part of with your background that does make it, as and we know similar guys. It's like, it's not so much that like you're a freak of nature, but the mindset and the attitude is what differentiates you guys from everybody else. It's really that drive and desire to be amongst other people who are trying to be elite, who have the mindset for that. And I think that culture that you're coming from is so important. You know, I always say, something that I say is like, you know, hard work and a great attitude will overcome every single obstacle that's in your path. And I think that's the environment that you're coming from. And that's why you're seeing this success now in your civilian endeavors.
That, and I think on top of is, you know, being a team sergeant in you know, a direct action unit, you realize how bad attitudes affect you and affect a team. So anybody that you deem as toxic in the team, and I got rid of them the next day.
Yeah.
You can ask anybody. When I took over a team, their bags were in the hallway. You could still do it at the time, and I didn't want them, and they weren't going to be part of the team anymore if they just had a toxic attitude. And when you go into business, now you have to relate that to real life, right? So your friends. If you have friends that are just like, oh man, you don't need to do that, you come out with us, or I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole with that. But I did a really hard look at myself after I got out, and I found identify the people in my life that were very toxic, and just cut sling, man. Cut away from them.
That's powerful.
It's brutal, and they probably still don't understand why. But I'm not going to waste the mind and brain power to continue that discussion, because I'm on a different path, man. And if you're not with me, you're against me. You know, because it's a proven success model.
Yeah, and I think so many people, and I mean, I think a lot of people who don't have personal success, and it doesn't matter what they're doing. You know, it could be a military goal, it could be a fitness goal or whatever, but not enough people are willing to change their environment, where they spend, what they spend their time doing, who they spend their time doing it with, in order to achieve that goal. They try to accomplish that goal from the same place that got them to where they are right now, and it just doesn't work. It's a recipe for failure.
Yeah, if you're hanging around with a bunch of other people that is blaming the circumstances of life on other people, that's the wrong people. You should take full responsibility for everything that happens to you. Everything from why I didn't wake up. Well, my alarm clock didn't go off. Well, no, you just didn't set the volume high enough. You know,
right?
In my head, that's how it is. Like if something didn't happen, my bad. Next time, it's gonna be totally fixed and this and that. But if when you start taking responsibility like that incrementally over time, you begin to get more stuff hammered out, and then you can also recognize the people that need to be assisted, I guess.
Yeah. I was just having a similar conversation with, I think there's a generation just like younger than us that doesn't really understand that idea of ownership of everything that happens in your world, whether it was directly your fault or not, or there's an accident or whatever. I'm a first sergeant in the National Guard now. So I was trying to mentor this staff sergeant, this E6, and I was kind of educating him on like, look, everything that happens in your environment is you now own it. Whether you want to, whether you believe that or not, and when you can walk around in your life for that, to the extent of even you walk into a parking lot and you see a piece of trash on the ground, you walk by that trash, you still own it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's it. I believe that to that extreme. You know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think. Having that type of, especially in business, having that type of attitude where it's like, yeah, I take full responsibility for all this. And I've had to stand in front of my staff. I've had to stand in front of my clients before and say, I fucked up. Like I thought this.
You get more respect that way, and people trust you more that way. If you just own like, hey man, someone wrong, I fucked up. It's not going to happen again. Cool, bro. But then you start like, well, no, he did, she did, they did. No, you know what? It was me. My bad. It's not going to happen again. And this is how we're going to fix it.
Yeah. And even when somebody else on my team was messed up, I'll look them in the eye. And this is what I loved about our culture in the military is that we have a culture of, brutal honesty. I can look somebody in the eyes and say, hey, you're fucked up. And here's all the reasons why you're fucked up. And here's how I'm taking ownership for that because it's not going to happen on my watch.
Yeah. Here's how I failed you. Because I didn't teach you correctly. Now we're going to go back and retrain.
Yep.
Now we're going to go back and figure out what was wrong, break it down. I failed you, not training you correctly. This is how we're going to move forward.
Yeah.
And that was every day. That was every day in the military,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. All that, well, sometimes I was on the receiving end of that, and sometimes I'm on the giving end of it.
Yeah.
So what's your staff like now? Like, how many people work with you and for you, and like what kind of like work culture do you have?
We do a very good job vetting people that work for us. So, and thankfully we don't have as much of a problem with our workforce as other people do. And I think it's because we hold a higher standard of people that work here at Star Spangled, you know. Whenever we have ads out right now for servers and a general manager for the new facility that we're starting up here this year coming up. And there's no shortage of applicants. It's the shortage of quality people. So when we scour the resumes, it's a pretty heavy vetting process. Everybody agrees to a background check. We do a lot of background checks. We also bring them in, speak with them. Social medias are scrubbed, all that good stuff to see if there's anything that is outside of the morals of the company. And then if they pass all that good stuff, then we'll bring them in. We'll do a 2-week training period with them, say an indoctrination period or whatever, where we assess them type thing. And if they do well, then they're on. If not, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time. But we're down to we have 7 people right now, and I would not trade those 7 people for anybody. I think we have the best people that work for us, and I think it's a testament. If anybody watches this that has come to Star Spangled, I think they would definitely say that we have a pretty well-run tap room and brewery.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm in the same boat. Like, my hiring process to bring in like a coach or a trainer is extremely long. And, but I found that it's like, and just like in your business, I always say that when that person is on shift, when they're on duty and they're working, they are the entire business. They might as well be the CEO head, because that's the interaction. And if I'm not feeling good about that person and how they hold themselves, their values, their work ethic, then I basically don't feel good about my business, period.
Yeah. And how they represent your company when you're not there.
Yeah. 100%.
That's the discipline of it. Acting in the right way when nobody's around.
Yeah. So do you have a development program? Like, so let's just say you hire someone on and then like they're now on, are there any things that you do to kind of like develop people and keep the culture going, stuff like that?
When I was the brewer manager and all that good stuff like that, they would just work alongside with me, and then I would teach them. We have certain protocols in place to determine, I guess you haven't been here yet, but Star Spangled Brewing Company is completely family friendly, 100% all the time. We don't have late hours. We're open until like 8 o'clock during the weekdays, 10 o'clock on weekends. So if anything comes to disturb the family friendly atmosphere of a brewery, somebody's had too much, they were overserved at somewhere else trying to come in the door, or we feel that they're just not the right fit, we have a corporate Uber account. They get asked to leave, and that's that. And it's very professional. It's a very, we're not arguing about it. We're just saying like, hey, this is not the right place for you. And so now we have several cycles of employees that work for us that see that from the role models that currently work there, and they are coached from my general manager at here on how to act and then how to take care of those situations when I'm not there. But normally, we haven't had any issues, knock on wood, the 5 years we've been open so far, because it's very matter of fact. It's not emotional. It's non-negotiable. If you disturb the equilibrium of the tap room and the family friendly, it's just, hey man, you don't have to pay a dime. We have an Uber waiting for you outside. It's a corporate account. Get on in. Save your career, save your face, in your community, and just call it a night.
Yeah, culture is so big. I was reading an email from a friend, from a business owner friend of mine, and I'm on his email list, and he said he was saying to his people, he was talking about culture and basically how hard they were going to drive that line, and they were just said like you're the money that you spend with us isn't worth us destroying our entire culture. And the way that he said that, I was like, wow, that's You know, you know, the $100 that you might spend, you know, today or this month or whatever is not even close to worth us destroying what we've worked so hard for.
And it was a rough patch, you know. And if you are establishing a new culture, like the book you were talking about, or what you read or spoke with somebody, it was probably the first year and a half, man. It took training the community. We didn't kick them out. We asked them to leave. So, you know, a lot of people that came there that thought it was a bar. It's not a bar.
Yeah.
It's a brewery. It's a family brewery. You know, we have root beer, sodas, ice cream cones, child's games. It's a place where you can just come hang out, have a couple pints, and be on your way to dinner or, you know, to a movie or something like that. So we're not looking to make our money through just serving mass quantities through the tap room. We want consistency, and I think that's the long goal of Star Spank.
Yeah. I love that. I think it sounds like you're just not willing to compromise the parts of it that you loved in order to make a buck or in order to,
and then I think it's integrity too. You know, integrity as a business owner. If you don't have the integrity and if all you're looking to make a buck, you can tell the places you go in that are just looking to slang beers, slang drinks, make as much money off of who's there at that time, as opposed to a restaurant style or a public style place. You know when you get there. Yeah. And we've both been to them. You know?
Yeah, I mean, a lot probably. So you've talked a little bit earlier about, you know, you talked about affirmations and you talked about visualization and stuff like that. And that's something I'm deeply interested in. And it's what I coach a lot of people to do. I work with people who have all different types of goals in life and with their, you know, their lifestyles, I should say. And so I coach people on those types of things. I'm really curious, like for you, do you have a daily practice or regular things that you do to, one, keep yourself grounded, two, keep yourself moving forward? You know, I'm curious just about anything like that.
Man, I'd love to tell you I did. I'd love to tell you, you know, I did. But I think it's just ingrained into us and, you know, certain people. When I determine I'm going to do something, there's no, it's it. You know, if I want to start a brewery, I'm going to start a brewery. I determine it's going to be the best brewery in Tennessee. I'm going to be the best brewery in Tennessee. If I'm going to be the biggest in the South, I'm going to be the biggest in the South. So through that, and it's in my mind constantly, you know, as a business owner, you don't stop business. You don't stop it.
Right.
You go home, you're like, you know, you're eating dinner and whatever, you don't stop thinking about it. It's always present. So I think through the presence of always being in it, and having a work ethic that has been defined earlier, we can talk about that later, but having the work ethic, but I already visualize when I determine I'm going to do something, it's happening. I know what it looks like already. Yeah. Like I said, when I bought this building, like you did, I bought this building and I put the brewery in there. I knew already in my head what it looked like. All I had to do was do the work. And I think that stops a lot of, you're going to have hard times. You're going to feel like quitting. And if it wasn't a dream worth doing, you wouldn't feel like quitting because then everybody would do it. But now I'm at the end of the rainbow on this project. We're getting ready to open up the tap room here in a couple of weeks. I already know my next project and the project after that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I know it's already going to start happening, and I've already put stuff in the works to continue that and become the largest in this region.
That's amazing, man. I think that there's only certain people who have that level of vision. Like, I'm similar where I'm like, I can just see it. I already know. And sometimes the hard part is getting other people to see what I can see so that they can contribute and buy into the process. And sometimes that's one of my frustrations. And a lot of times that comes down to trust. You know, when I say, hey, we're going to do this thing and I get a little bit of pushback from people on it, I get frustrated because I'm like, just trust me. Yeah. Just trust me. I know what I'm doing. I can see it. Yeah. And like you, if I said it's going to happen, I know it's going to happen. You know, it may not always happen how I thought it was going to happen, but I know that I see everything that I go for all the way through.
And in business, nobody believes you until it's done.
Right.
Like you said, I spit my plan hundreds of times, different people, and they're like, "That's awesome, man. Good luck."
Yeah.
And after you get it done and they see the success of it, they're like, oh man, I'd love to get in on it now. Like, and you're like, sorry, man, you didn't, you didn't see it to begin with. You're not going to see my next future as well. So,
Yeah.
but I think, okay, so work ethic, and I think that's something we should probably touch on when it comes to entrepreneurs, small businesses. I think when you're early on in life, I had the opportunity to work for a different higher tier unit. You need to determine how hard you can work for how long before you get burnt out. You have to. If you're just, in your early 20s, 30s, if you just have a 9 to 5 and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I'm going to do this multi-million-dollar business, and you have no idea how long you can work for 100% all out, you're gonna quit, and it's gonna be humbling, or you're just gonna nug it out. You're not gonna have it. But when you're working 20-hour days for 6 months at a time with a 4-hour rest break in between, I mean, you just know how exhausted you feel. So mentally, Sundays are my day. I work 6 days a week. I'll still get up on Sundays, do my admin stuff on the computer, but after that, I'm crashing all day because I work from Monday to Saturday night at 10 p.m. And if I'm able to take off time in between there for stuff, I try. But it's a 7-day a week thing, and I try to keep that 6-8 hours there on Sunday where I just crash and I don't do anything outside the house.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, bringing that up is very important. What it actually takes to be successful is you've mentioned it earlier, like business owners don't stop, something along those lines. And I don't think that people really understand that level of commitment, that level of work that it takes. And again, I think because of your background, you already knew, you had the confidence and knew that you've had to work days on the end with no sleep, and that's like no big deal. Like that part of it doesn't scare you or deter you at all. Where someone who's
I know it.
Yeah,
I know it, and I think any young kid that even if they're not in the military, you can, if you're disciplined enough, you're like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to run this large business. Here's what I'm gonna do: 1 week a month, I'm setting it out, and I'm working. Yeah, till I crash.
So talk to me about the other side of that. You mentioned like Sunday sounds like a reset day. Are there other things that you do? So I always think you're a vessel. You are a vessel of, energy, ideation, leadership. You're a conduit of all that. And sometimes the instrument gets worn out and needs to be tuned up and have some maintenance on it. So what kind of maintenance do you do to keep yourself kind of performing at that level?
It's very important to have a physical fitness regime. 100%. If your body is not in physical shape, I mean, you don't have to be peak. I'm sure you're way better shape than I am, but I still go to the gym every morning, and it goes from either an hour to 30 minutes. But you have to do something to invigorate your mind, and then continue to work on yourself that way. And then, as bad as it seems, or it's not bad, it's knowledge, and people will try to brush it over or whatever. People put more trust into physically fit people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the military, like when we were coming up, you had to do the shine boots, the starches, and the fatigues. You could be a total no-go in physical fitness, but if you looked like you were squared away, your first impression is everything, and it's always visual. So you get a lot of confidence from people. First of all, being in shape, and always trying to do the best to dress well. You don't have to feel good, but you just still have to kind of be presentable to people because you never know the opportunities that are going to come out of that.
Right.
So I think physical fitness is not only good for the reset of the brain, but it's also good just to show that you're not you're dependable and you're not lazy in that aspect.
Yeah, I think, and one of the reasons, I'm a gym owner who really doesn't give that much of a shit about how strong someone is or how fast they can run or, how ripped they are or anything like that. I love the gym business because I think it's a microcosm for like how you do anything in your life. Any problem that you have to solve, any challenge that's in front of you, it's just really about sets, reps. It's about setting goals, getting in your sets, getting in your reps, pushing your, overtraining a little bit, pushing your boundaries, getting uncomfortable. And, and the way that you do that in the gym is the same way that you're going to do that in your career or your family life or whatever else.
And that goes back even to being in special operations. Like you could be the best shot on the range, but if you can't get off that helicopter, doing a 5K offset, carrying ladders and all this other stuff, you can't make it to target, you're useless.
Right.
So be able to at least get to target and be useful to the force, other than spending all your time just doing, just shooting. You have to be a little master of everything.
Yeah. Do you do anything for your mind, like for your mindset or, for the mental aspect? I mean, certainly the physical component, but it's stressful. What you do is stressful. You're playing a high stakes game. I know you've got a background in that, but is there anything you do in particular to kind of keep yourself sharp mentally?
I get good sleep.
It's important. That's huge.
And that's huge. And then you kind of do a little bit of meditation before you go to sleep. But here's what's helped me out big time, especially as an entrepreneur. Your mind is always racing, right? So I couldn't go to sleep a lot of nights because I have a lot of stuff on my mind. If I just kept a tablet of paper beside the bed and a pen, and I wrote it down, I was asleep like that. My mind would shut off because I'm not trying to consistently remind myself so I don't forget it. So I keep a pen and paper. I don't even have to see it. Like it's just on the nightstand, and I just do this. It scribbles. I know what it will look like in the morning, but then my mind shuts off and I get great sleep. That's just a little hack,
I don't think you can overlook that. I coach people to journal all the time because it's a powerful practice. And I journal every single day. I have a very specific way of doing it, but exactly what you just said is really my only reason. I never read it again. I write it and I might as well burn the damn thing because I don't ever even go back and read it. But I have a process because it's the same thing. It's just kind of all this craziness that's going on up here. I have to organize the thought. I have to get it out of here and get it out, wherever. And then I can go about my day without feeling anxious and stressed out and everything else.
Yeah. Because you have so many outside influences wanting you to do something else aside from what you're supposed to do. You know what you're supposed to do, but then things start popping up. And if you don't write them down, like I make lists upon lists upon lists so I can stay on track. Some things on my list, I can even earmark to where I shut my phone off for this. Shut it off. No outside communication. Like I have to do this for 30 minutes, get it done. Then after that, I'll turn my phone back on and I can continue. The really important stuff, the phone gets turned off for. I don't answer anything until it's done.
That's huge. Distraction is huge for me, and I'm really bad about that because I'm about to make an excuse about it, but I'm like, I was just about to say because of the nature of my work and blah, blah, blah. But it's really just an excuse and a lie that I tell myself about why I have to have my phone on and be looking at it all the time. I would probably be at least 25 to 50% more productive if I didn't allow myself to be distracted. By phone.
It's not all the time. It's just certain events, certain tasks I have to do throughout the day that it gets shut off for because I know I can't do my other tasks without this one being done.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. I feel like there's so much packed into it, there's a powerful blueprint to what you've built in terms of your business. And I think that it's inspiring to me. And I know a lot of people would be inspired also just listening to it.
And I think that once I start slowing down, I'll be able to reflect back and be like, this is how I compartmentalized this from this. And this is how I really focused on it, and just come up with a blueprint for how I've done so far. But right now I'm still grinding, man. I know the work ethic's there, cutting out toxic people, have a 1-day reset, mandatory, getting rid of that social media, that cell phone on specific events, and just doing the work, man.
Yeah, you saying, you just saying a second ago something about like one day I'll take a second to look back and, and reflect and all that. It makes me think about, as you and I know, life is precious and fleeting, and we've lost brothers in horrible circumstances, and so I wonder if you think much about not waiting till tomorrow to do certain things, or like, how much do you live in the present, and how much, I'm a very future oriented person. I'm constantly, all I'm thinking about is, the 300-meter target and like what I'm going to have to do to get there. But I'm curious if you take much time to smell the roses and enjoy your day-to-day life and all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, I do. Sometimes I sit back, like now it's Saturday at the brewery. I'll have a cigar and a beer and just be like,
yeah,
damn,
yeah,
like this is, I did this. Like, this is completely crazy. All right, I get back to fucking work. And I just, and I get up and I go back to work. But having that one little piece of solitude, quiet, just sitting back and looking and being like, damn, that's good.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's awesome.
And then how do I continue to stay on this path, keep the momentum going?
Yeah, I love that, and it's just so clear how driven you are, man. And that's it's I love to see it.
It can be a detriment too. My friends are like two people now, but if it's their, you do become a horrible friend because you're so driven and you're just in business all the time. But that's the price you pay. You work like others won't now, so you can live like others can't later. And I think that resonates really, really, well with me, and that I can also see how I can help the vets and first responders with this brewery and with this beer. And we've done a lot over the holidays, a lot over the fifth group reunion, where we've been fortunate enough to provide a substantial amount of money to these organizations. And a lot of it, it's not, we don't post it online. We don't social, we don't market it as that, but the people that get helped know they get helped. And they appreciate it, and everything doesn't need to be posted online.
Yeah,
it makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's a big part. Giving back and supporting your community and supporting people that you care about and supporting causes that you care about is really a huge part of, I can say for me, of why I do what I do. I think you and I entered service for, or even maybe I didn't enter service for this reason, but it grew on me as I became, through the military. It was about caring about your brothers and sisters and supporting others. I'd be interested. What kind of things do you contribute to, and what are things that you try to support through your business?
We are staying very local to start out with. You get a foothold, and when you start a business, don't think you're going to start a business and you're going to be able to start contributing right away. You have to take care of your business first before you have the ability to take care of anything else. So for the first 2 or 3 years, the brewery wasn't able to contribute much, maybe $200 or $300 there. But as we continue to grow, we got into college scholarship foundations for fifth group, and then we got into supporting 9/11 memorial acts, and then we got into supporting local foster children, and then we're also supporting homeless veterans through other means. So it's everything stays local right now until we grow enough to where I can spread the outreach a little bit further. But that's all through selling beer. Think of what else if we had more people to help out, like what we could really accomplish with it. But I like keeping it local.
Yeah. There's just something so fulfilling about like getting to do what you love every day, getting to do something you're really passionate about, and getting to leverage that. Yeah, and and having something letting that contribute to your lifestyle, of course, your personal lifestyle, but then others also. Even the fact
and when you do stuff like that, you leave, you're like, you got a lump in your throat, you're like,
yeah, I know.
Like that was. You're like, hey, you're 45 years old. Why are you crying? Like, it hits you every single time that you get back. Right. That makes you feel twice. That makes you feel twice as good as as anything, and giving back, and that gives you additional drive to do better, so you can give back more next year or the next time they ask.
Yeah, I think when I think about guys that I know, and you probably know also, that in their transition from their military life into their civilian life, they haven't done very well. They're suffering, they're in pain, physically and mentally. And I think about like, well, what's the difference? I'm thankful I don't have any issues like a lot of the guys that I know. And I think part of it for me, I can just say, is that, right? Like I got to continue a mission that I cared about, and I got to continue to serve in a way that I felt was important, and I get to continue to contribute. And not everybody kind of takes that on for themselves in their transition, you know?
Yeah. And man, you can't do 22 years. Well, I wasn't full 22. You can't do 15 years of all out combat and not be changed, not be different. Like I watched all of Dersh's interview on here. He's doing some great stuff, but I think that you have to know yourself before you get out. You have to know what helped me. And I don't know how this, I haven't even spoke to Jason about it or not, but what helped me is I had to replace one stress with another. Mm-hmm. I had to.
Right.
So, in the military special operations, probably not exclusive, you are on a cycle of anxiety, lull, a little bit of depression, anxiety, lull, a little bit of depression, anxiety. Lull. You're on this constant roller coaster. And if you're deployed, the roller coaster is magnified. So you're going on target, your adrenaline's spiked way up, but then your cortisol goes to meet it so that you can still have steady hands, still shoot accurately. But then when you come down, your cortisol stays up there, which makes you depressed when you come back. So until the next thing, and then you're on this constant roller coaster. The Army doesn't recognize that. Well, it didn't. I don't know. It could now. So when you see people coming back from these deployments, you see these young soldiers going out and getting this crotch rocket, screaming down. They're looking for that high again, and outside sources. Because combat, if you like it or not, I mean, everybody that you couldn't wait to get back to combat. You couldn't wait to get back to fighting because you love that feeling, that exhilaration of the ultimate test, right? Man versus man. It's a grown-ass man hide and seek, and with ultimate consequences. But that gives you a certain high that you try to find throughout the rest of your life. If you just get out and say, I'm going to go buy 90 acres, man, I'm going to live in a cabin out in the woods, you are a ticking time bomb.
Yep, 100%.
Or if you move back to a place where there's no military, you can't talk to anybody about what happened or what went on. You can't even, you're a ticking time bomb. And people don't realize that because the VA's answer at the time when I got it was just throw meds at you, man.
Yeah.
Throw meds at you. And when, you get diagnosed with PTSD, whatever, what they do is they throw pills at you and they don't know the correct doses of it at all. So when I got diagnosed with PTSD, which everybody in special forces has it one degree or another, they threw some pills at me, and I sat for an entire like 10 hours in my brewery with my face like in my hands, like just contemplating like, what am I doing on this earth? And I was like, hey, I knew it was the pill, and I went home and dumped it right down the trash, man. And so I knew I had to find something in life to keep me on that stress that I needed. Stress. So why not make it useful? Why not make it, a business that can help other people?
Yeah, I feel like nowadays there's like everybody's just trying to throw pills at everything, and what they forget is that there's other types of medicine out there. Purpose is medicine. Your nutrition is medicine. Your sleep is medicine. Your physical fitness is medicine. And everybody wants to go to the quick fix rather than doing the stuff that takes a little effort and takes, and it isn't sexy, honestly. So
I've known a lot of attempted suicides just because they threw the pills at them. It didn't work. They took them away. There was no coming down off. When they issue you Oxycontin, brother, for like 6 months straight, and they determine it's not working, and they pull it out from underneath you.
Oh man,
you're just like you're an addict going through withdrawal, and there's no treatment for it. And the medical facility is either you're on it or you're not. So that's when you get the phone calls, and that's when Mission 22 starts and stuff like that. That's when you call and talk to a brother about that kind of stuff, because there's no treatment for weaning you off of those, or there wasn't. There might, look, I've been retired for 3 years, so there might
it's not any better right now. Trust me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that contributes to a lot of the suicides of it. And I think you're a ticking time bomb if you don't replace your stress, man. You gotta do something.
That's powerful. I think that thing, what you just said is, well, I think a lot of guys need to hear that. You got to replace the stress.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it said that way, but I think it's a simple enough concept to understand that guys can be like, oh, okay, like, let me, and obviously healthy stress, not like with a bad relationship or by,
but if you don't realize that about yourself, all you know is that you're needing this combat high that you're used to or that you like, or the stress. You don't realize it. Your body finds it. Your mind finds it regardless. Mm-hmm. So you're going to go out and get bar fights. You're going to go out and race that car down the street. You're going to be drinking and driving because it gives you that exhilaration.
Right.
If you identify it early on and know that it's in you, there's ways to combat it and ways to deal with it. If you want to go to a shooting competition, I think is the best way to deal with it, because that gives you both the highs and the lows, and the kick in the dick that hurts, and and at the end of it, you feel great. I think competition is a great way to do it. If you don't want to start a business and you're feeling bad, just get into a shooting competition or run marathons. I've been really starting to get into those ego challenges, man, when you start doing like 3 or 4 days, like minimal sleep. I think that would be great for guys in our community that are getting out,
I've been talking about that for a long time, actually, is trying to put together some sort of event like that. That's like a 100-mile or 4-day event where you as a team, you get your like 6-man team together or whatever. And so I've been kind of talking about that for a little while.
I think that would go over well. Especially for people getting out that are having issues, man, because you can talk all you want, you can do the trust falls and stuff like that big corporations like to see and say that you're fine, and teach about compartmentalization and use your cell phone to put things. But they need to get out there, and they need to be with people like backgrounds, and do stuff that's kind of hairy. Yeah, that's what you're used to. You're used to being off leash and not too much guidance, and then all the effects are on you as to how you get the mission done.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, what's next for you, man? Like you keep mentioning this other facility you're working on, and you've got some big things coming. Like what's going on?
I don't want to say too much about it.
I like that.
Not online, offline. But my overall end goal is to be the biggest brewery in the South. So keeping that in mind, backwards planning, figuring out how to finance it, and bring unapologetically patriotic craft beer to those who need it, man. So backwards planning through that, but it's going to happen, and I think I've cracked the code on it. So
awesome. Well,
I see it. I just got to do the work, the groundwork to get it in there, get it laid in there.
I mean, this is why I call the podcast Doing the Work, because that's what it takes. It's honestly, it's just like digging. You just gotta. There's no secret. There's no special secret. There's no quick anything. It's just like literally rolling up your sleeves and like doing the shit that needs to be done. And sometimes that means some sleepless nights. And
if you don't know it, learn it. Never be too proud to ask for help. I've asked in the military. There's no shortage of mentors. When you get out and doing something totally different from everybody else, you no longer have mentors. You need to realize when you get to a place that you can't ask questions to your buddies too anymore. And I've reached that place a couple different times, and I had to go out and ask for mentors. It's something like, hey, can we go out to dinner? Can we go out to lunch? Can I buy you a beer? And then I'm just like, that's when I just start questioning.
Yeah.
Find somebody that's already done it and just, pick their brain. They're happy to do it, but you have to find that mentor or that group of mentors that can talk you through that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's not a lot of that going on out here, and but also when you ask someone, when you have the courage to ask somebody, it really is giving them a gift. I mean, people have spent all these times and years like learning this shit, and they would love sharing it, and so you're going to find a lot of people who are willing to give you the knowledge.
And if you're too proud, I guess, with the ego to not ask questions, that's cool too. But your success curve is going to be a lot shallower than somebody. If I'm gonna ask the best person in Clarksville here for his help on this, my learning curve is like this, as opposed to me just nugging it out, trying to YouTube. You know, you get YouTube
you can do it. It can be done, but your timeline, your timeline's going to be triple. You know, it's going to be way slower.
You can do it. You can still get there through that method if you don't want to ask for help. But if you ask for help, you're exponentially increasing your success.
Absolutely. Well, what did you think I was going to ask you coming on? Was there anything that you wanted me to ask you about, or anything you wanted to talk about on the show?
No, honestly, man, I was just happy to see you again. Like, it was been since like 82nd Division Lurs, you know.
Yeah.
And, kind of just all moved on from there. I actually ETS'd out of there.
Did you? I didn't realize that.
I ETS'd. Yeah, went back to Ohio. 9/11 happened, and I was like, I'm coming back.
No
in
shit.
the game.
I didn't realize that.
Went back in active duty.
Yeah, okay. I thought you went straight to selection from there.
No, I did 14 months. I came back in after 9/11 happened. I went straight to Corlers.
Okay, 18th Corps?
18th Airborne Corps, right there at Bragg. We deployed for the initial push into Iraq 2 weeks later, and then we did 14 months over there. I got back, went straight to selection, and then went to 5th Group from there. But yeah, it's been a long time, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. What did you do in the time you were out? What was your plan?
I was a private investigator.
Really? No shit.
I was a PI doing surveillance, man, tailing people, and it was a good time. It paid well, but you train so long for the big game. The big game happens, and now you can't get into it. Like, for me, that was crushing. I was like, hey, I am hook, crook, or chinook. I'm getting back into this game, and because I loved it. You know, I did well at it. And here we are.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, it's like us guys like you and I who had like basically half of our career or a big section of our career prior to 9/11, and then after 9/11, I think we really have a leg up because we really did get the time to, like, you know, we were doing all the training and all the skill, and so like when shit happened, we hadn't been distracted. Like you said, after that, it's just deployment after deployment after. You don't really get a time to do all the training, and so I think.
Right.
Our generation is kind of lucky in that way.
Yeah, I think we were lucky, especially the units we went to, and I know Dersh hit on this as well. The units we went to, they were people that actually cared about what they were doing there because it was a specialty unit within the regular Army. When you showed up, you got the SOP book handed to you. You expected to learn how to cross linear danger areas. You were expected to know how to do subsurface hides, how to make comms no matter who you were. It didn't matter. So knowing those SOPs, when I went to Special Forces, they were like, "Oh, you're a Bravo? Can you make comms?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, I can make comms."
Yeah.
Like, okay, you'll be the Echo. You'll be the Echo for this one. Okay, do you want HF or do you want TACSAT? Like, what do you want?
Right.
But just having that cross training and the SOPs laid out for you and being constantly trained on because you had the time to do it because you weren't in war,
right?
Or knew you were going to war, that helped out.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. Well, man, it's been it's so great catching up with you. I always tell people I'm like the worst with staying in touch with people. Like you said, like I keep my circle generally small, but it's something as I'm I'm 44 now, and as I'm like trying to get on in my life, like I think something I really I want in my life is to kind of have, I have a 3-part purpose. One of them is optimal health, helping myself and others with optimal health. The second one is deeper human connection, and that's something I really want more. Like, there's other people out there doing stuff that I can really, that I'd like to contribute to, and that I know that I could also receive from. And so, with all that being said, man, I'd love to stay in touch more with you. I really believe in what you're doing. It's inspiring, and Dave Hall and I'll talk all the time about driving up to your brewery and coming to see you. So hopefully we'll make that happen.
Come on, man. We'll do that. Hopefully we'll have the grand opening in February for the new tap room, and if you guys can make the trip.
Dude,
awesome.
For real, let me know when that day is, and that'd be the perfect day for me to come show up.
Perfect, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for the time today. I really appreciate it, and that's a wrap. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it. Good talking with you.